Hey, William.
You know, I've had a real revelation today.
I mean, I've always been torn between my medicine and my poetry, but I never really knew what my contribution would be. I guess medicine always seemed more practical to me. Today, though, I think I've found my place. You see, I was walking through the park as I usually do, and I noticed a tree alone in the middle of a field, and it made me think about how that simple thing is a lot more relevant to our lives than the more extravagant subjects that are usually present in poetry. Now, all these ideas were rushing through my head, and I had to get something down on paper. So I wrote a little poem on some paper that I had in my pocket. And it went like this.
The tree stands alone, brown and rough, its branches coarse with the grit of the earth, alone in its existence, devoid of life. Its branches do not shake, its leaves do not rustle. It stands fixed in the vastness of the wilderness.
What's up, Tom? Having problems with my wife again. Some new fellow named Gatsby.
Yeah, I heard about him.
I know, and he's from West Egg. I didn't always used to be like this. Ever since that Gatsby got here, things have been different. I was born in the premiere of East Egg. Being valedictorian at my high school, I moved on to Harvard and was summa cum laude, not magna, of course. I then became quite successful in my business like my prosperous family. Through my impressive manipulations of the stock market, I was a millionaire by the age of 24. Not like that filth at West Egg, of course. So, at 30, I met the most beautiful woman in the world. Her name is...
Wait, Daisy the blonde?
Yeah, that's her.
That seems pretty rough.
Well, Gatsby and I just had this huge fight. My wife ran out of the room, and Gatsby ran after her. I just don't know what to do about this whole situation. But I have a good friend who's helping me out with it.
How good is this friend of yours?
A good friend.
How long have you been seeing her?
A couple of months.
Wait, how often do you see her?
Often.
Oh, I see what's going on here. William, you seeing this too?
Yeah, I see what's going on.
What are you guys talking about?
Tom, you can't keep going on with this. You gotta just simplify your life.
You should really end it with that girl. She's no good.
Alright, fine. I'll just end it with Daisy.
You mean Myrtle?
Yeah, Myrtle.
Hey, Mayor.
Hey, how you doing?
So what's the story for today?
Well, I was raised in a very wealthy family, you see. My father was the governor of Mississippi. My mother was the mayor of Jefferson, this town. My brother and I learned all the ins and outs of being a good politician. And a few years ago, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. The death of my mother hit our family hard, but we got over it. And now here we are living in the present, and you know, we're doing well. We're doing well. So, you know, I went to Yale to study some politics because I really enjoyed what my parents did for a living, and I thought it was a very good way to be in the community and help out. So when I returned to Jefferson, I decided to run for mayor. I felt like the city government was a little corrupt because the old mayor was making exceptions to the tax rules. I ran that old mayor out of office, and I brought justice to that great town.
Yeah, you've been through some hard times in your life. I can relate to some of that. I remember coming to America from Italy. It was in 1898. I spent most of my childhood on my own. My parents both had very demanding jobs, and I had to learn how to adapt to this lifestyle. I always dreamed of working my way to the top. I would live independently. Me, myself, and I, my own man. I started off as a paperboy. I worked very hard. I rode my bike around the city delivering newspapers. I thought that if I worked hard enough, I could eventually get a better job. The days were bright and sunny, and I can remember the park that I used to ride through every day. It was a very lonely neighborhood. Most of the people there never seemed very happy. I talked to a lot of them, but they always had a facial expression that told me that something was wrong. None of them waved at me when I rode by on my bike. Aside from the park that I saw, I also remember seeing a bunch of factories. There were clouds of smoke and debris coming out of the smokestacks. The air was always polluted and smoggy. Even though my days were never very great, I tried to be optimistic. However, over the years, my optimism began to thin. When I got denied from job after job, my hopes of achieving the American dream seemed as if they were distant memories. In the end, I thought it would all pay off, but it didn't. After all these years, I'm still very close to where I started. I'm still just a poor bartender.